If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Your support keeps us bringing you more incredible true stories. In today's video, I want to take you on a journey. One that began on an ordinary winter morning, but ended up changing everything I believed about love, loss, and what it truly means to be seen. When I opened that door and saw Ethan, standing there with his camera, his eyes steady through the lens, something shifted inside me. Something small, invisible but powerful. I didn't know it then, but that single knock on my door would awaken a part of me I thought was gone forever. I'm Claire Miller, 42 years old, living in a quiet town in New England, where winters feel endless and silence settles like a second skin. I once believed that the most passionate chapters of my life were already behind me. But that morning, that snow-covered morning, would prove how wrong I was. Outside, the storm had transformed the world into a white dream. Snow blanketed the roofs, the trees, the narrow road that curved past my home. Everything was silent, except for the slow ticking of the clock on my kitchen wall. I stood by the window, a mug of tea warming my hands, and watched the snowflakes fall, delicate, perfect, endless. It had been 2 months since my son Tyler left for college. The house still felt hollow without his energy, his laughter echoing through every corner. After the divorce, I had convinced myself that solitude was peace. But lately, the quiet had started to sound like loneliness. Mark, my ex-husband, had been gone for years, first emotionally then physically. He left behind nothing but a polite distance and the faint smell of old cologne on his side of the closet. Love, to me, had become a ghost story. Something that used to exist, but now only haunted me. Until that knock. When I opened the door, Ethan was standing there, camera in hand, cheeks pink from the cold. And that same boyish grin I remembered. "Hey, Mrs. Miller," he said, his breath fogging in the air. "I was driving by and thought I'd check in. I'm working on a new photography project. Portraits that capture real emotion. Mind if I take a few shots of you?" I laughed, caught off guard. "Me? Ethan, I'm hardly portrait material. You should find someone interesting." He tilted his head, smiling softly. "You're perfect for it. You've lived. That's what I want to capture. Life that shows on the face." There was something in his voice, sincerity, maybe, or quiet maturity, that made it impossible to say no. So I nodded. "All right," I said. "Just don't make me look old." He grinned. "No promises." We walked out to the lake behind my house. The snow covered the frozen surface like a sheet of silk, reflecting the pale winter light. Ethan adjusted his camera, the soft click of the lens echoing in the stillness. Every now and then he'd glance up at me, focused, too focused. "Turn your head a little," he said quietly. "Yes, right there. Perfect." Each shutter click felt strangely intimate, like each sound pulled me closer to something I'd forgotten about myself. I wasn't posing for the camera anymore. I was breathing again. When I laughed, awkward and shy, he smiled, lowering the camera slightly. "You have this look," he said, "like you're remembering something beautiful." I didn't reply. But inside I felt it, the ache of memories, of warmth I hadn't allowed myself to feel in years. Later, inside, we sat in the living room while the fire crackled softly. Ethan opened his laptop and showed me the photos. And for a moment, I couldn't breathe. The woman in those pictures wasn't the tired, quiet person I saw in the mirror every morning. She looked alive. Her eyes had depth again. Her smile looked real. "Do you see that?" he asked, pointing to one picture. "That's you when you stop hiding." His words struck something deep in me. For so long, I'd been hiding behind roles. The mother, the ex-wife, the dependable friend. I'd forgotten who Claire was without those titles. And now this young man, my son's best friend, was showing me the woman underneath it all. I tried to change the subject. "You've really grown, Ethan. These photos are beautiful. I'm proud of you." He smiled gently. "You were always kind to me, Mrs. Miller. When my mom died, you probably don't remember, but you were the only one who came by. You brought soup, remember? You sat with me for hours. That meant something." My throat tightened. Of course, I remembered. He was 17, quiet, grieving, lost. I'd held his hand, told him he wasn't alone. Now here he was, a man. Confident. Kind. And suddenly the air between us felt different. The fire crackled. He didn't look away when our eyes met. And neither did I. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Of course." "Do you ever feel like your life hasn't really started yet?" The question caught me off guard. I hesitated, then whispered, "Every day." He nodded slowly, his voice low and certain. "Then maybe it's time you let someone remind you how to live." Something about the way he said it, soft, honest, steady, made the world tilt for a second. I stood up quickly, pretending to straighten the cushions, trying to steady my heartbeat. But when I turned, he was standing closer than before. For a long, silent moment, neither of us moved. The only sound was the fire and the snow tapping the window. "Ethan," I said quietly, "this isn't right." "I know," he whispered, "but it feels honest." My heart raced. I took a step back, searching for air. "You should go," I said finally. He nodded, his eyes soft, regretful. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." Before leaving, he looked back from the doorway. "Keep the photos, Mrs. Miller. They show the woman I see, not the one you think you've become." The door closed, and the silence he left behind was louder than anything I'd ever heard. Hours later, I noticed something on the table, a silver necklace. Simple, unremarkable, but his. I picked it up, the pendant cool against my fingers, and felt something stir inside me again. Something like longing, something like life. That night, I dreamt of snow melting under sunlight, of warmth against the cold, of boundaries blurring and hearts remembering what it means to beat. The next morning, there was another knock. When I opened the door, Ethan was there again, his camera gone this time, his expression uncertain. "I forgot my necklace," he said softly. I could have handed it to him through the crack in the door, but I didn't. "Come in," I said instead. He stepped inside, his boots dripping snow on the mat. We stood there, neither knowing what to say. "I didn't come just for the necklace," he admitted finally. "I know," I said quietly. The air between us felt charged again, not forbidden, not dangerous, but real. We stood there, two souls at the edge of something beautiful and wrong all at once. And in that fragile stillness, I understood something. Some stories aren't about crossing lines. They're about seeing them clearly, and realizing love, real love, sometimes means choosing restraint. He looked at me, searching my face. And in that look I saw gratitude, sadness, and something like peace. "I should go," he said. I nodded. "Take care, Ethan." He smiled faintly. "You look happier, Mrs. Miller." "I am," I whispered. I watched him walk away through the snow, each step fading until he disappeared down the road. The house felt different now. Not empty, but awake. I sat by the fire, holding one of the photographs. In it, my eyes were alive again, open, curious, and yes, hopeful. I realized then what Ethan had really given me. Not romance, not temptation, but remembrance. A reminder that even after heartbreak, after years of silence and loss, you can still feel. You can still begin again. Love doesn't always ask to be claimed. Sometimes it only asks to be acknowledged. That winter morning changed me forever. I didn't fall in love with Ethan. I fell in love with the part of myself I thought had died. The part that laughed freely, that looked at the world with wonder. Sometimes people enter your life not to stay, but to awaken what's been sleeping. And if you're lucky, you recognize that moment before it passes. And hold it close, not as regret, but as proof that you're still alive. So if you're watching this today, lonely, tired, believing your best days are gone, please hear me, they're not. Your heart may be quieter now, but it still knows how to beat. All it needs is a reminder. End title card. Some stories aren't about love that lasts forever, but love that brings you back to life.